Welcome to yet another awaited session of our weekly Sunday satsang. I am Dipti and have joined this virtual satsang from Glenrock, New Jersey. In the current times, our day to day life always goes busy in fulfilling our physical and mental requirements and social responsibilities. In this fast paced routine life, the requirements of the soul are often forgotten. So, first of all, I congratulate each one of you on board for taking some time from your busy schedule and meeting us on this virtual satsang to fulfill the requirements of our soul. Our next section is Swarved Gyan, Swirbit Gyan, and as we all know that for past few weeks we have been starting this session with our experienced and knowledgeable speakers, and today our speaker is none other than Amit Talekarji, who is a very dedicated disciple of Swamiji, and he is going to join us from North Carolina. Over to you, Amitji.
Jai Sadgurudev to all of you. I have shared my screen. I hope you all able to see this. So again, thank you, Diptiji, for that generous introduction, and welcome everyone for today's session. As part of Swarved Wisdom, as we know, we basically discussed the couplet from Swarved. And again, the intention here is to share the wisdom in the Swarved. And also everyone's again, this is going to be a collective effort, so everyone's participation is welcome here. And again, I'll share my thoughts initially, but then I will request all of you to join me and again share your thoughts, and then we'll discuss any questions. So let's begin with today's doha. So today we are going to discuss on the couplet that is displayed on the screen, and this is from the Mandal fifth chapter, and Doha number 8. So I will request any one of you on the call today who can read Hindi, please read this Doha and then read Bhashya as well.
Jai Sadgurudev, Amitji. I can read.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Sadguru Seva Dharma Me Shesha Hoyo Uttirna Anya Dharma Kya Chahiye Anya Dharma Sab Jeerna. सदगुरु सेवा धर्म में उत्तीर्ण हुए शिष्य को दूसरे धर्म की आवश्यकता नहीं होती, उसके लिए और धर्म बलहीन एवं जीर्ण है. Over to you, Amit ji. Jai Sadgurudev.
Thank you, Mayaji. So this is the couplet from the Swarved, and to understand this, we definitely need to understand every word in this doha. So here Swamiji is talking about Sadguru Seva Dharma. So we need to understand what is the dharma, right? What is mean by dharma? Then Swamiji talks here about Shishya, a disciple. So we definitely need to know what the disciple is, right? And then Swamiji talks about a test here, right? So there is some sort of test so that there is a verification that you will a disciple will pass the Sadguru Seva Dharma, right? What that means. And what are the other characteristics of dharma? What are the other dharmas, right? When you compare with the Sadguru Seva Dharma. So we need to understand that entire context to understand this doha. So let's, I'll begin with the dharma. And to understand this, right, I basically, again, took a reference of Swarved. And there is a book that Swamiji has written, Satanadevji Maharaj has written. That book is named as Athato Adhyatma Jigyasa. So, so when I was thinking about, right, what I should be talking on the dharma, there is the entire chapter in this book Swamiji has written on dharma, and it is pretty exhaustive. So I'll just, summarize some aspect of that in the context of dharma when we talk about dharma here. So again, as we know, dharma has various meanings, right? So when we talk and loosely try to relate that in the English vocab, we know that dharma is more, we call it a righteousness, right? A righteous behavior, right way of living, doing the right things, right? That all falls under dharma. So Swamiji in this book, Atado Adhyatma Jigyasa, has defined, has described dharma very exhaustively, and he begins by sharing, right, whatever ancient scriptures, right, talks about dharma. So some scriptures basically says dharma is nothing but the guiding principle, laws or rules that when implemented in behavior improves both the worldly experiences and as well as the materialistic world experiences. So that's from one of the ancient scriptures. There is one ancient scripture that Swamiji has mentioned called Unadi Kosh. So Unadi Kosh is basically India's ancient text, which includes a more of a grammatical tradition from the ancient times, and that defines dharma as when virtues are cultivated in one's behavior, they bring about happiness, particularly when they are unbiased and rooted in knowledge. So here, Unadi Kosh explains dharma as an unbiased, a knowledge-based behavior that basically brings happiness around. Amar Kosha is another book, which basically nothing but a collection of words and how you use those in the language, right? So this book is, have a lot of Sanskrit word collected and the meaning synonyms for those words, and that describes again there. The word dharma is described as something that can be incorporated into one's behavior, something that can be followed, something that can be taken shelter of when you make your daily decisions. Um, Similarly, in the ancient scripts, there are if you look at the India's ancient philosophical side of things, there are 6 school of thoughts, and one of them is Vaisheshika, and it is called a Vaisheshik Darshan, and that explains dharma as the one which provides materialistic world progress along with the spiritual progress and which leads to liberation. This is a dharma. So this is how dharma is defined in the various ancient Indian scriptures. So if you want to understand dharma, I think one of the recent, right, I mean, again, it's a few thousand years old, we have to look at Mahabharata, right? So in the context of Mahabharata, the dharma basically is defined as the one that you possess as a king has a power to bind all your subject to the same virtues. These virtues are what hold society together, and their absence can lead to breakdown of the society. So dharma is considered to be a cornerstone of society's prestige. That's how in the context of Mahabharata, dharma can be explained. There is another script called manuscript, which is again a pretty ancient scripture or book that basically explains the law of Manu, um, and that explains karma as the person who follows the path of dharma. Sorry, I mean dharma. Person who follows the path of dharma will be protected by it, whereas the one who harbors hatred towards dharma will not receive its protection and will ultimately follow a path of decline. That's how dharma is defined in the Manushruti. Um, and as we know, there are quite a lot uh, other contexts in which, right, we know how virtuous behavior can contribute to dharma, right? And what we know is non-violence, right? Speaking truth, helping others without any expectations, right? Those are few things that we know are also part of dharma. So now coming back to Swarved, right? So Swamiji has, described with the reference of all these scriptures, what we know dharma from the ancient times. And now Swamiji has basically defined what Swarved, how Swarved defines dharma is. So Swamiji says, dharma is truth. So Swamiji has written one nice couplet around it. Satya dharma ki atma, madhu vidya ko jaan, dharma sabhi वह मृतक है जहाँ न vidya pran. So Swamiji has mentioned in the Swarved clearly that the essence of dharma lies in Brahma Vidya. Without it, dharma is lifeless. Only through Brahma Vidya can one hear the voice of their soul. True dharma is when one's actions are guided by the inner light, which comes from the ability to listen to the pure nature of the soul. So according to Swarved, dharma is defined as ability to hear and follow the true and pure nature of the inner voice, that is the voice of soul. So Swamiji clearly mentions the truth, the ultimate truth is the dharma. And the one can follow the truth only when the only when you are truthful from inside. What that means is it's not just the external behavior, but that truth should come from inside out. So when you are really truthful, when you follow the dharma from within, then all your outward actions will basically be based on dharma. And that's the level of dharma that one has to reach. So Swamiji has mentioned, when Swamiji says Satya Dharma ki Atma, and in the first doha in the Swarved itself, Swamiji has mentioned about Satya. So Satya is something that is there forever, that doesn't change any form, that remains constant no matter what in the time of test, right? So whether it is within the time or beyond the time, something that remains true, not constant forever, that's the truth. And so when we think about from the materialistic side, definitely that truth is not known to a normal person, and then we need someone to tell us that truth, some authority that knows that truth, who can tell that truth. And that truth is basically bring here by on this earth by Sadgurudev. So Sadguru Nityanandi Sadgurudev, that who is the first one to bring this truth to the to the welfare of humanity, and that is the Brahma Vidya. That's what in the Swarved, and that's the basis of all knowledge. So Swamiji has clearly mentioned in the Swarved that Brahma Vidya is the basis of everything, and all the other knowledge, whether it is materialistic and everything else, follows on the basis of Brahma Vidya. So again, when we talk about dharma, it is pretty profound definition. And Swamiji has mentioned that trick to understand dharma lies in the knowledge of Brahma Vidya, and follow path of spirituality under the guidance of Sadguru. That's the only way to know the true dharma. And true dharma you will know only when you have an ability to listen to your soul, and that can only happen at the very higher level of spirituality. Similarly, after that, Swamiji has mentioned in that book, there are 10 different characteristics of a dharma. So how do you know someone follows dharma? And so there are 10 different characteristics. And again, I think these characteristics are coming from Manusmriti. So Swamiji has mentioned 10 different things: Dhriti, Kshama, Dama, Asteya, Shaucha, Indriya Nigraha, Dhi, Vidya, Satya, and Akrodh. These are the 10 characteristics that define dharma. So I'll quickly just define what that means in English. So dhriti is more of a patience or courage. So Swamiji always and often says in the Amrutvani that धीरे से सब होता है, समय पे सब होगा. Swamiji often says this. What that means is we basically have to show patience. So everything happens at its own pace, and we have to be patient. Nothing happens when you are impatient. When you are impatient, Swamiji says even something that is pretty near to you looks very far. That's why one needs to have a characteristic of patience. And it is very interesting how these 10 characteristics that basically are the form on the basis of dharma. Next one is the kshama, which is forgiveness. So Swamiji mentions forgiveness is something that even though you have a power to punish someone, you basically pardon them or forgive them for their errors or mistake, right? That is the forgiveness. Then Swamiji mentions dhamma, which is self-control or the mind control. So how you will control your mind so that you can control where you invest your outward energy, right? That's dhamma. Asteya is non-stealing. So basically, following the path of honesty, right? Whether it is materialistic possession or wealth, not steal from anyone, but do your honest effort and to basically gain the materialistic wealth or goods. Shauch, or it is also known as cleanliness or cleansing. So we definitely need to do not just the external cleansing, but also our inner organs cleansing. What that means is cleansing of mind, intellect. Then Swamiji mentions Indriya Nigraha, which is control of senses. Again, it goes with the control of mind. Then Dhi, which is Vivek or complete wisdom. That can only be achieved at a stage when your mana and prana gets dissolved. So it is a very high level stage where that vivek or wisdom is given to you by Swamiji. Vidya, which is true knowledge, and that's nothing but a Brahma Vidya. Satya, that we have talked before, is the truth, something that never changes, and you basically should have love to that truth. And then a krodh means non-anger. And this anger is pretty nicely defined in Bhagavad Gita. There is very nice sentence or there is a nice doha in the Bhagavad Gita that talks about a krodh. I don't remember that, but what that means is whenever you face any obstacle to your desire, that basically results in you getting angry, right? So anytime, what we see in general happening is when there is a desire, and if there is an obstacle or for some reason you don't get to achieve that desire, that results in anger, right? And then that anger basically triggers to ignorance or lack of knowledge, which basically creates conflict in your intellect, and then your intellects basically gets destroyed, and at the end you basically end up destroying your human values as well. So that's very nicely explained, and that's all because of anger. So non-anger is pretty important characteristic of dharma. So these are the 10 characteristics that define what dharma is. So Swamiji further mentioned about dharma, right? With the example of tree. So what Swamiji mentions there is, if you consider a tree, the root of the tree is dharma, and then the branches that of the tree are nothing but a compassion. So so basically, Swamiji is saying here, dharma is nothing but the truth and compassion. And when you compare the tree, the root is dharma, and then the branches are compassion. Similarly, if you want to understand dharma at a materialistic level, we always say that there are different ways we follow dharma, right? So we have basically some duties, right? Some dharma towards our family. There is a pitru dharma father has towards the kids. And there is a pita dharma or mata dharma, right? Like so, there are various kinds of right, various depending upon the the relationships, right? That a family member has. There are different aspect, different level dharma happens. Also, there is dharma towards your country. There's a dharma towards your community or society that you live in. So all these are basically various forms or various types of karma, dharma. Sorry. Um, and again, pure dharma, Swamiji has mentioned, is basically happening at the conscious level. Swamiji or even Vigyandevji Maharaj often says is in Divyavani that um, karma, basically karma becomes dharma when you get an ability to hear your inner voice, you basically ability to hear your soul. So that's where the first step towards knowing what dharma is basically follow the Brahma Vidya and under the shelter of Sadgurudev. Now, Seva Dharma, that's another thing that we need to understand what is Sadguru Seva, right? So so far what we have seen is what is Dharma, what are the various ways one can perform Dharma, but now what's the Sadguru Seva, right? So again, Seva, we know it's a selfless service. Again, the Seva happens at various levels. We start Seva by basically seva towards our family, parents, right, towards the society. But the ultimate seva is the Swamiji has mentioned in the survey that ultimate service or seva is basically spreading the Brahma Vidya knowledge um, to the world, because that's the ultimate truth, and every soul should know about that truth, and that's the Sadguru's goal, and if you are a true disciple, you should align to that goal and basically help spreading that knowledge. So the best seva that Sadhguru Deva has mentioned in the survey for the Sadhguru seva is basically spreading the knowledge of Brahma Vidya. So how do you help in that aspect? So Swamiji has mentioned in the even in this Atato Adhyatma Jigyasa or even in the survey, there are 4 different types by which you can perform the Sadhguru seva. So Guru Seva can be done at the level of so Tana, Man, Dhan or Buddhi, right? These are the various levels you can do. Dhan is your, by donating wealth. Tan doing the physical seva. Um, Man at the mind level and Buddhi at the level of intellect. Um, and so what happens, right? I think once you understand, once we do Sadguru Seva, what happens, right? So once we basically align ourselves to the Seva of Sadguru, we definitely, start progressing towards the goal of human life, which is liberation, right? We basically start progressing towards upliftment of soul. The right virtues, the right behavior, all that we discuss about dharma, those virtues start slowly appearing in our actions. When we do physical seva, so physical seva is anywhere you either visit ashram or any event that is happening anywhere, you basically go there, do that setup, right? Help in some physical aspect, and that is called as physical seva. So physical seva is said to be a basis for the spiritual growth, and definitely there are a few benefits that Swamiji has mentioned clearly. By doing the physical seva, you basically get a vivek or wisdom. You get dhair, patience, saishnuta, which is tolerance. Then definitely your ego get reduced, and you start basically behaving as per the shield, right, which is the highest state of conduct. So So those are the physical, those are the benefits by doing the physical seva. When we do a seva at the mind level, which is more at the purification of mind, right, which results in purification of mind, then your firmness to Sadhguru's teaching increases. Definitely helps in the meditation. And then the intellect level, when you do Sadhguru Seva, that definitely uh, get um, get resulted in Sadvivek Buddhi, right? So basically, the wisdom, the intellect, the virtual doing the right thing, all that good aspect, knowledge that you gain, that help you in the right behavior. By doing the seva at the level of speech, definitely you understand the Sadhguru teaching. You do swadhyay whenever you have to do any, for example, talking in satsang, right? And this one I'm closely aligned with because for this topic, when I looked at the, where can I find details about dharma, and then this is where, right, I read about that book, and then definitely that brings firmness in Sadhguru teaching. It helps you understand the various aspect of spirituality, helps you in meditation, and obviously devotion towards Sadhguru. Um, and definitely, and the last one is, right, doing seva at the level of wealth, definitely increases the tyag, right, which is in English known as probably ability to disallow something, right? So you know how to get rid of something, or ability to donate, right? Um, then whatever you donate definitely will be used in the welfare of humanity, the betterment of society. Attachment to ego gradually begins to loosen, um, and definitely act of charity helps to be eligible for the path of spirituality. So those are all the levels, right? Various ways Sadhguru Seva can be done, and various benefits that one can get. And now here Swamiji also talks about Shishya, disciple. So true disciple, as I mentioned before, is the one who helps Guru in um, the goal that he has, which is basically the spreading the knowledge of this Brahma Vidya to the humanity, and the disciple is the one who basically helps in that aspect, becomes a medium, right? So any seva we do at the level of Tana, Man, Buddhi, right, wealth, everything that we do, we should become medium, and it should be selfless, right? That's the key. And one should try to do that, and that's the shishya, right? So here in this doha, Swamiji also mentioned about shishya hoye uttirna, right? So when what that means is when you follow all this service for the Sadguru, by knowing now that Sadguru Seva is basis of dharma. So if you want to be a righteous, be on a track, or be righteous in your behavior, also um, uh, cultivate the characteristics of dharma into you. Only way to do that is a Sadguru Seva, and follow the guidance principles that Sadguru has put forward while doing this seva, and definitely there will be a test, right? And Swamiji mentioned the next line is, once you do this, everything else will happen for you. You do not have to worry about other aspect. So just do a Sadguru Seva and follow that dharma, and you will basically get all the other benefit as a byproduct of that. So, and I was just thinking about what example should I give about this doha. So one thing that comes in my mind is the Mahabharata. So again, I'm getting a liberty of assuming here that most of you know the Mahabharata, various characters, the war that was fought. So if you look at Mahabharata, the whole context of Mahabharata was based on the dharma and adharma. It was a fight between the dharma, right? The righteousness versus the, the opposite side. So there are three examples that comes to my mind when I read about this dua, and Mahabharata is pretty close to me because when I was very small, I think probably fourth or fifth grade, that time there was this TV series in India, Ramayana and Mahabharata, and both of them I used to listen very closely and see very closely with the entire family. And that used to be, a time when everyone stopped doing everything else and just sit in front of TV and watch the series. And I learned quite a lot from that Mahabharata and even the Ramayana series that happened that time. And so and just to give context, so I joined Vihangam Yoga 5 years before. But after I completely read the Swarved round one, I did go back and see the entire Mahabharata again. And when I listen to that and watch that again, it basically provides me all different contexts, because now I was, looking at it from the context of spirituality, and that has a whole different meaning. Every character, every conversation between the different characters had so much of context, right? By knowing the Brahma Vidya. So so three examples came to my mind when I read about this dua. First one is the again Mahabharata, as you know, it was a war between dharma and adharma, and there was one character called Karn, who's and I think, as we know, he was the eldest Pandav, but he was never given that recognition. So throughout his life, so he was basically, even though he was born to a queen, so his mother abandoned him, right? And then he was raised by a family who was pretty low in the hierarchy of importance, right? That time. And then he has denied the education that was given to a king, because he was not a king, not recognized as a family of kings. So all that aspect. So um, so with that context, right? So when the war happens, towards the end, when Karna was basically lying down, Krishna reached out to him, right? And this is a conversation between Krishna and Karna at that time. And Krishna wanted to know why Karna, despite of such a I mean, again, just not telling the whole story here, but Karna was pretty awesome. He was pretty uh, great warrior, also a great human being. And that's why Krishna wanted to know from him that despite of so many good qualities, why he decided to follow the path of adharma. And that time Karna mentioned his life story to him, that how he was born, how he was abandoned, how he was denied of different services just because he was raised by a lower family. And then a king Duryodhan basically gave him all the wealth and everything. And that's and every time, right, Karna was shown a path of I mean which was not right based on his abilities. And that's what he basically he's telling Shri Krishna lying down there, that these are the reasons why I did not follow the righteous path, right? So to that, Shri Krishna mentions him about his story. So he was born in a jail. All his siblings, previous siblings, were killed because he was about to get birth. Then he was basically um, raised as a right, even though he was a king uh, family, but he was basically raised in a different society. Everybody else in that society were basically kind of blaming him because of all the different uh, things that happened, right? Because the Kansa was trying to kill him, and all the different sorrows that society has to face because of him. So he was blamed for that, and he was blamed for a lot of other things, right? So this entire story Krishna tells him, and then he tells him that the doing the righteousness or the following the path of dharma is always a choice, right? No matter what situation you are in, no matter what circumstances your life is in, what you face, it is always a choice, and for that you have to know the true dharma. So now in the context here we have to understand is Krishna, if you look at it, Sri Krishna is the yogi, right? He's coming from the background and he has a knowledge of Brahma Vidya, right? So and that is where that's a difference, right? So the one that the Karna, even though despite of all these great qualities, right, being a great warrior, a great human being, he decided to follow the path of adharma on the basis that his friend gave him all the kingdom, all the good things in the life. Just on that basis he decided to help the wrong side, right? Whereas Krishna is telling him that despite all that aspect, I decided to be I mean, I chose the path of dharma, and that's the difference, right? So dharma vidya is that, sorry, the brahma vidya is that difference. Second aspect is again the Bhishma. There was a similar discussion between Bhishma and Krishna, and that time Krishna calls out that again Bhishma is a very great yogi, a great disciple. I mean, great. Again, he has. I mean, if you look at the characteristics that I was just mentioning, Bhishma probably had all of those, right? He was brahmachari. So a lot of India, I mean, all those 10 different characteristics he fits pretty well in that, despite he chose the path of not helping for his own different reasons. And that time Krishna tells him that, he points out um, couple of basically the incidents where one of the example was the when the Draupadi was basically in that whole sabha, she was basically insulted, right? At that time, um, Sri Krishna told him that that particular incident he could have stepped up. He was knowing all the dharmas and everything. He could have stepped up in the right in the honor of that. I mean, in the honor of the woman's respect, and he should have bear the basically a weapon at that time, right? Because he was I mean, he was the best warrior at that time. No one could have argued with him if he would have stood in front of everyone that to stop that, but rather he decided to walk away from that whole situation. So that was, so it was very interesting to know all these characters, and then how knowing the Brahma Vidya makes a difference, right? And the last one is again, I will call out one last one is the Yudhishthir. So there is one character, he's one of the Pandavas, and he's known to be a son of Dharma, right? So there's a god of Dharma, and he is called as Dharmaputra, right? So, and very quickly, as we know, he has followed truth throughout his life. But when there was a scene about a situation in the war when the teacher Dronacharya was unstoppable, and he was basically fighting on the other side. And that time, as we know, Dronacharya has a boon that no one can defeat him when he has a weapon in his hand. That time, uh, mm, I think there was a situation where Krishna has to make some decision. Again, Krishna was never participated in the war, but he was more of a consulting, right, to Pandavas. And that time, he told Yudhishthir that we need to find some solution. And then everybody knew that everybody knew about this situation, that no one can defeat him until he has the weapon in his hand, right? So only way to defeat him was some way, make him drop his weapon. That way they can someone can take advantage of the situation and kill Dronacharya. So what was decided was Dronacharya's son, right, was Ashwathama. So one of the Pandavas, Bhima, killed an elephant named Ashwathama, and then um, it Yudhishthir was asked to go to the Dronacharya and tell him that Ashwatthama is dead. So throughout his life, it is said that Yudhishthir followed dharma, truth, but that situation, because the dharma itself was in trouble, right? He has to basically tell that lie. And it is said that, Yudhishthir, whenever he used to ride his chariot, it always used to, because of the power of truth, it always never used to touch the ground. It always a feet or so, his chariot used to run above that, above the ground. But the moment he said that lie to him, he's basically Rath, right, touches the ground. So and then that resulted in Dronacharya basically stopping the war, and that's the story about. So the point here is basically having the Krishna on the side of Pandava help a lot, and the knowledge of Krishna comes on the basis of Brahma Vidya. So that's the difference, and that's probably would explain when Swamiji says here, Sadguru Seva Dharma mein Shishya hoye uttirn, Anya Dharma kya chahiye, Sarva Dharma Sarva Jeen. So with that, I'll pause here. And again, I apologize if I said something. That's purely my lack of knowledge. If I said something wrong, please forgive me and please correct me. Jai Sadgurudev.
Thank you so much, Amit ji, for the beautiful explanation of Swarved Doha. And Amit ji, I think in one place, I would like to apologize first, but I just want to make sure, our audience has understood that point precisely. So in one place, actually, you told Sadguru Seva is, using your dhan, man, kaya, and buddhi. I think in Swarved it is written dhan, dhan, kaya, man, bachan, and I think by mistake you told buddhi, or I would like to really apologize again. Like, I'm not sure. You just, you just confirm from your end that's what I just wanted to, tell you here.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
And apologize if I said that.
Yeah, so is dhan, kaya, man, bachan, right? Yeah, thank you so much, Amit ji. Yeah, thanks a lot. And you explained so beautifully, and you told, you got into so much detail of dharma, and also you gave very beautiful example of Mahabharata. So thank you so much for this. And also, I would like to invite our audience, if they have any question on this particular Doha, so they can come forward and ask a question to Amit ji.
Jai Sat Gurudev. This is Niranjan.
Yes, Niranjan ji, Jai Sat Gurudev.
Yeah, that was beautiful explanation. I just wanted to add one thing. Dharma jo hai, jo Mahabharat mein, sorry, in Mahabharat, the definition of the understanding about dharma was understood, and in the modern day, it's no different than the situation that used to be in Mahabharat, because at that time, every character, every king, queen, or even normal civilization, normal people, they all had their own definitions of dharma. And it was even bad probably at that time, because there was no social media. There was no technology like that. Only some people were able to communicate through who had higher levels of consciousness. So abhi bhi situation is no different than that, because everybody is doing the best they can. And the only problem is that Krishna enlightened during that time, that's why we call avatar, is that all of that is dharma, but there's only one truth. And the pointers is not in the right direction. That's why even Duryodhan was such a great child, actually. He was so loyal to his parents. But that was his dharma. So everybody was fulfilling their dharma. So if you look at in today's world, it's no different. Everybody's fulfilling their dharma of taking good care of their child, their, their near and dear ones, and whatnot, right? Their material achievements and all that. When I ask people here, hey, what is your purpose? And their purpose is, they say it very openly. Oh, I have 2 children, 3 children. I have to take care of them. I just want to give better life to them. That's their life goal. That's their dharma. So, but we know that, of course, there's a multiple dimensions of dharma, but there's only one truth. And the pointer, so the situation during Mahabharata and today is no different. So even people who commit wars, they're fulfilling their dharma because they think they're doing the right thing. So the challenge has always been the one truth. And and that's why all these paths becomes very critical. I think in Buddhism also, they say it very clearly: Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami, Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. First, put your mind into the Guru, and then everything that you will do will be naturally dharma, because you will only do things what the Guru would do, because then you are doing with the Guru in mind. For example, when you are making decision, you have either Krishna in your mind, a Paramatma in your mind, or the Guru in your mind, and then you are basically doing that. And then in the satsang, you are expounding, you are doing service. So I think the Mahabharata is like he was saying, sorry, I forgot his name, Talekarji, that I had also seen the Mahabharata at the same time. Actually, everybody would just accumulate and gather. It used to be like an event on every Sunday evening, even Ramayana actually. But then we were looking at it based on what we had heard about, that this is a play. Ram Chandraji was so great, so powerful that he killed the bad people. That's all we were looking. That was the lens that we had. And then later during the pandemic, when I watched those again, you were looking at it from a very different lens, and then Brahm Vidya. So I think the definition of dharma, everybody has their own definition. There's no one level playing field. And that's why the biggest dharma is to be able to, Brahm Vidya, to expound to as many people in all different sort of way, has always been the desire for avatar, for saints and Sadguru. So just wanted to add that. And even today, it is no different. To be able to, the challenge is, if powerful people who are impacting a lot of people, if they begin to understand these things, then it can really make a significant impact. And so that's what I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Niranjanji, for putting some thought and light onto this particular topic in Doha. And again, I would like to invite our audience to ask any question to our speaker if they have.
Just a Guru Dave. I actually don't have a question. I just have a observation to make, just in case there is any other, strictly English speaking people other than myself. Unfortunately, the translation that you will get if you try to translate the word dharma into English is actually somewhat inaccurate. So if anybody could break it down for English speaking people, I mean, other than myself, I have a little bit better of an understanding of it. But unfortunately, anybody who would be new to this would be lost if they actually tried to translate it. It directly translates in English to religion. And that's it. That's the only direct translation, which from my understanding of the word dharma, it's not religion. It's something completely different. So I just wanted to make that statement, just in case there was people that didn't know that the only English translation for the word dharma is religion.
That's a very beautiful point, Devji. Amiji, would you like to take this one?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I think Devji, you pointed out very nicely that there is no, there is no one-to-one direct translation, right? But in general, dharma means righteous behavior, right? A guiding principle, right? That you can follow and be never wrong, right? In any action. So that guiding principle set of right, you can call it a law or rules that basically guide your behavior, right? And these dharma, that's the righteousness, right values, right, righteous behavior, that all is considered dharma. And one thing to know here is the true dharma happens at a very high level of spirituality. So truth, again, as I mentioned before, dharma is nothing but the knowing the truth, right? And that truth is something that is never changing, right? To realize that truth, the only way to get is the walk on the path of Brahma Vidya, right? So dharma you can experience. True dharma is when you start hearing, basically start behaving at a conscious level, right? And that conscious level can happen only after the self-realization by connection with the Almighty, right? And that's where you basically start the those guiding principles, living those principles from within, right? Then every action that you do will be for beneficial, will be the right action, and there is no question about it, right? It will be right, because once you're connected with the Almighty, all the qualities of Almighty will be the guiding principle for any action that you take, right? So Jivan Mukti is the stage, I think. That's the level of true dharma experience, and that happens at a very high level. But at the various different stages in the life, right? As Niranjanji said, dharma happens at various levels, and we try to make sense of various right duties that we do. Um, that basically guides us as at a at a level of dharma. But you're right, dharma is not a religion. Dharma is righteous behavior, righteous path, guiding principles that will guide you, right, to make a true decision, right? True actions at a level of mind and intellect, and at a level of Jivan Mukti, whatever you do, Swamiji always says, dharma become karma, dharma ban jate. So that means every action that you take is basically becomes dharma at a level of that high level of consciousness. I'm not sure I made a sense, but I will ask, the experienced disciples, Swamiji's Guru Bhais and everyone else to please chime in and help me.
I think you covered it perfectly. I think it's a great injustice that such an important word that has such great importance, the mistranslation in different religions, especially, or not religions, and different cultures and in different languages. I think it's too important to be mistranslated. So I appreciate the clearing of that up for anybody that was listening.
One of the thing I was thinking about is, there was a very profound reason why avatars had come, because we have their life stories. In every religion, actually, there was a source, like Jesus Christ, Buddha, Krishna. And if people had invested their time to understand them, and then when they are living their lives, they can always use their intellect to put them in their shoes, that what would Jesus have done, what would Krishna would have done in this kind of situation, and then they acted. That would have been the dharma, because the entire purpose for religion was to actually get closer to the truth. And in other words, those become a karma because you are putting them into your mind and then you are taking action. And in Dalai Lama, actually, he's in India. He was in India recently, in a very good forum. He summed it very well that, wisdom and compassion are the two biggest foundations, actually three foundations for their culture: ahimsa, wisdom, and compassion. It sums it up actually, where there's non-violence, there's wisdom of Brahm Vidya, and then there's a compassion to be able to take any kind of action. And I think all of this is dharma. It's very multidimensional, but with one focal point. And I think that's what people will have to understand. And that's where the English translations don't do a great justice, because it just becomes lost in translation. I mean, they're hovering around, but it doesn't get to the heart. And that's a challenge with all the social media. It's always like, but then for a true seeker, they will get through those and will seek the underlying truth. And many people will be able to do that. The whole idea for these things are to provide as a tool, but then eventually that inner calling has to be there. Either that or through, sharing of wisdom. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Amit ji and Dev ji and Niranjan ji, for the question and answer for this particular doha. And if anybody has no question on this topic or on this doha, Amit ji, I have actually one tiny doubt on this doha. Maybe it is very, I don't think it is quite clear for you to answer this one, but yeah, whatever you know, just you can clear my doubt. So I understood this doha completely, but like completely means whatever as per my understanding, I understood. But here in this doha, the second line is the first line is Sadguru Seva Dharma mein Sishya hoye utirna, अन्य धर्म क्या चाहिए, अन्य धर्म सब जीर्ण. Here anya, of course, like I understand this anya part, but anya dharma, when Swamiji is saying, he is indicating what? Like of course, as I told you, like it's not that clear, maybe it's not going to very clear for you, but anya dharma stands for what in here? So this is what I had this question in my mind.
Yeah, that's a good question. Do we have Vijay ji or anyone else on the line by any chance? I'll try to get answer, but then definitely will look forward to him if he's there. Okay, so let me try again at the level of my knowledge and intellect, right? So here Anya Dharma is not a religion. Dharma is again the various righteous right things, right virtues that we want to follow, right? So this is here Anya Dharma is more in the context of the other virtues, right? So in the overall context, right, if you look at it, the bigger context, we want, see, today we are doing karma, right? And we have to go to a level of akarma, right, which is basically happens when you basically unite with the supreme soul, right? When the yoga happens, that's when the akarma happens. And the path between karma to akarma is the vikarma, right? It's basically seva, satsang, sadhana, sadguru seva, right? So sadguru seva dharma mentioned here is those vikarmas, right? So in that context, anya dharma, right? So any other virtues that we try to cultivate ourselves, we do not have to try explicitly hard for that. Once you do a vikarma, start on the path of spirituality, sadguru seva, all the other virtues will automatically basically will come to you, right? That's my understanding of this anya dharma, right? When it is mentioned here anya dharma subjirn, that means you do not have to explicitly try to focus on any of the other virtues. Just focus on sadguru seva, and rest everything will happen for you, right? And Swamiji also mentioned in the survey that seva is the primary most element, the first thing that anybody will be doing, right? If a disciple doesn't have any other thing, but he is willing to do so seva, that's only thing that you need. Rest everything will automatically come to you by the grace of Sadgurudev, right? And that's the context here, I believe. So please correct me if if I'm wrong. I think please share your thoughts.
Thank you so much, Amitji. I think I'm pretty much clear, and you answered it so beautifully. I think, yeah, of course, the Seva Sanna Satsang, which has been assigned by Sadhguru to us, and in this Doha, like we are focusing on Seva, so Seva is the main dharma here. Yeah, I got your point completely, and thank you so much elaborating it so precisely, and thanks a lot. So I would like to inform everyone about an event Navy is proud to announce. It is Warrior of the Week. We all know the best time to meditate is Brahma Muhurat between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., but most of us fail to do. To encourage this, Navy started this event where participants join the WhatsApp group called Brahma Muhurat Warrior. Each participants practice Brahma Muhurat meditation on their own. There is no session to join. Once you are done with the meditation, you can send the status to the group as done. If you are interested to join the group, please let us know and we can send you the link. So for this week, the Warrior of the Week are given below. Lalmani ji, Surya Alamraju ji, Tejinder ji, Maya ji, Bhagwati Patel ji, Yogesh Shirsagar ji, Prachi Shirsagar ji, and Vinita ji. So congratulations to all Guru Bhai and Guru Behans for meditating in the Brahma Muhurat time for the entire week. And inductees of the week are the one who were able to meditate at least once in this past week. And those are Srirang ji, Rashmi ji, Amit Talekar ji, Tanuja ji, and Geet ji. Congratulations to all of you. Now we have reached the last phase of today's workshop. In the Shanti path, we chant for peace for everyone who exists in this universe. May Sadgurudev bless the entire cosmos with peace, love, and prosperity. I would now request Devji to recite the last few lines of Shanti path for us. Over to you, Devji.
Shanti Path. Hey Prabhu Shanti Sarupa Ho. Shanti Shanti Maya Shanti. Shanti Shanti Jana Shanti Ho. Purna Shanti Maya Shanti. Hey Prabhu Shanti Pradana Kara. Durho Sarva Shanti. Deva Sada Phala Shanti Maya. Shanti Shanti Sukha Shanti.
Thank you so much, Devji, for the beautiful recitation of Vandana, Aarti, and Shanti path. Thanks a lot. I would like to thank all of you for joining us and also encourage everybody to ponder over the topic we discussed today. Special thanks to Amit ji, Jessica ji, Dev ji, Niranjan ji. Thanks a lot for your participation. The Navy has been conducting this Sunday virtual satsangs and Vihangam Yoga initiation workshop all over the USA and North America over the last few years. Any queries relating to this can be sent as an email to info@vihangamyog.org. I would also like to thank all of you again. Thank you so much, and Jai Sadgurudev.